Imagine a world where a tiny group of super-rich men owned nearly everything, controlled the courts, the Congress, even the president, and could spread their cruel system wherever they wanted. Now, imagine that a bunch of ordinary people, most of them flawed and far from perfect, somehow managed to crush that power, break the system, and reshape their entire country. Sounds almost impossible, right? That is exactly what happened in America once before. And according to historian Heather Cox Richardson, who joined Sarah Longwell on the Focus Group podcast, this might be the lesson that saves us today. In this episode, they dug into what the past tells us about our own shaky democracy, why so many people fear we are sliding into fascism, and how regular people just like us still hold the real power. Here are 10 takeaways from that conversation that reveal how ordinary people once crushed the rich, and how we could do it again. Takeaway 1. How ordinary people crushed oligarchs. Heather Cox Richardson opened with one of the most thrilling stories from American history, the kind that perfectly matches the idea that ordinary people once crushed the rich. In the 1850s, a tiny class of ultra-wealthy Southern slave owners basically ran the country. They controlled the presidency, the Supreme Court, the Senate, and finally took over the House by pushing the Kansas-Nebraska Act. This was not just about new territories, but about spreading slavery so deeply that the free states could never stop it. It was a rigged system where the rich planned to lock down all power forever. But regular white men, most of whom were not exactly enlightened or even opposed to racism, started to realize that this would destroy democracy for everyone. They formed local coalitions, they voted together, and they built a brand new political party that became the Republicans. By 1860, they put Abraham Lincoln in the White House, and within a few years, slavery was crushed. Heather said if flawed, fearful people could do that in 9 years back then, imagine what a diverse coalition today could do with far more voices and tools. This takeaway alone proves why history matters so much right now. And that sets the perfect stage to look at how this same ordinary power is already appearing in our towns and schools today. Takeaway 2. Local fights are shaping the future. Heather pointed out that while national politics gets all the headlines, the real battles that decide our future are often happening at the local level. Across the country, parents are challenging book bans in schools, communities are voting out extremist school boards, and local groups are standing up to harsh immigration raids. Just like the anti-slavery organizers who started small and local, today's defenders of democracy are building power from the ground up. Sarah Longwell added that her focus groups show regular people waking up to these fights, even if cable news does not always cover it. This quiet organizing is how huge shifts start. It is not always about one big election or one massive protest. It is thousands of tiny rooms where neighbors decide what they want for their kids, their libraries, and their local courts. That naturally brings us to the force that often turns these small sparks into something national. Takeaway 3. Why protests actually work. Some people roll their eyes at protests, thinking they are just people waving signs. But Heather explained that protests are actually one of the oldest, most effective ways ordinary people have forced powerful systems to change. She drew lines from the civil rights marches to the anti-Vietnam War rallies, and even to today's massive crowds chanting "No Kings" in the streets. It is not just about getting attention. Large, peaceful gatherings scare the powerful because they reveal how many people are willing to stand together. One voter in the podcast described how seeing thousands of Americans out on a rainy day made him believe change was possible. Even if it looks like nothing happens overnight, these protests build unity, teach people how to organize and create moments that politicians cannot ignore. If that is how the masses have always pushed back, what stops them? The answer is both simple and frightening. Takeaway 4. The power still belongs to us. Heather kept driving home one critical point. Even today, the people trying to impose authoritarian control are a tiny minority. In a country of more than 300 million people, they rely on most of us staying quiet or divided. The moment enough regular citizens decide to show up, vote, speak out, or support each other, the game changes. She told Sarah that no one wakes up thinking they will be a hero. They wake up tired, worried about their job, but maybe do one small good thing that day. And when millions do the next right thing, history bends. This is why, even though threats today feel huge, Heather says we are not done yet. As long as people still raise their voices, democracy can be pulled back from the edge. That hope sounds powerful, but it only matters if we understand exactly what we are up against. Takeaway 5. Authoritarian tactics are not new. Many voters in Sarah's groups described Trump's rallies, the ICE raids, and even talk of using the military in cities as signs of creeping fascism. Heather agreed that these are not random. She said authoritarian leaders always follow a similar pattern. They stir up crowds with anger, isolate enemies, attack the press, and rewrite the rules to stay in power. Whether it was Mussolini in Italy, Hitler in Germany, or small-time dictators elsewhere, the moves look alike. Even if Trump is not reading old fascist playbooks, he is still playing by instinct in ways that line up exactly. That is why people comparing this to the 1930s are not being dramatic. They are being smart to notice it early. Still, if this all sounds terrifying, there is comfort in knowing America has faced moments just as dangerous before. We're halfway through the video. Thanks for sticking with us. If you're enjoying it, hit the thumbs up and share it in your WhatsApp groups. If you'd like to support us, please tap the thanks button below. It helps us keep making great content. Drop a comment and don't forget to hit subscribe for more. Now let's continue with the video. Takeaway 6. America has survived dark chapters. Heather reminded us that this is not the first time people thought democracy was over. In the late 1800s, powerful monopolists called robber barons bought off lawmakers, crushed workers, and controlled state legislatures. In the 1960s, civil rights activists were murdered for demanding basic equality. Each time, it felt like the system was rigged beyond repair. Yet through organizing, pushing laws, and voting, people forced change. That does not mean it was easy or bloodless. It means there is a long pattern of Americans pulling their country back from the brink. This historical perspective helps explain why even people deeply afraid today might still find courage. But fear is also very real, and we should not ignore how personal it has become for many. Takeaway 7. Fear is now close to home. In Sarah's focus groups, people spoke openly about being scared for their own safety. A woman whose parents survived the Holocaust said she carefully edits what she posts online, worried that she might be targeted. Another man said he went to a protest but kept watching for someone to drive a car into the crowd. The fear of ICE agents snatching people off streets or armed groups showing up is not abstract. It is a way to terrorize the public into staying silent. Heather explained that in history, authoritarians often only need to harm a few people publicly to make millions afraid to resist. That is why even small acts of courage right now matter so much. And while fear is powerful, part of why we got into this mess is because those meant to check power simply stopped doing it. Takeaway 8. Congress surrendered its own power. Heather explained that the founders of the United States assumed ambition would keep ambition in check. They thought Congress would always defend its authority against any president trying to grab too much. But today, many senators, especially Republicans, care more about protecting their party or staying close to Trump than guarding the institution. Sarah pointed out how people like Lindsey Graham flipped to support Trump, while those who resisted like Liz Cheney were pushed out. This left Congress weak and unwilling to stop the White House from overreaching. When the branch meant to protect democracy steps back, the burden falls even harder on everyday people. That hollowing out is not just inside Congress. It runs through an entire political party. Takeaway 9. The Republican Party lost its core. Sarah and Heather discussed how under Trump, the Republican Party changed from having clear ideas to basically pledging loyalty to one man. In 2020, the party did not even write a new platform. They just said they would support whatever Trump wanted. He also pushed out many skilled political staff, replacing them with loyalists. This left a party built around his personality rather than long-term plans or values. Heather wondered what happens when Trump eventually exits, because there is no obvious leader or philosophy to guide them. This vacuum makes the future unpredictable and leaves more room for dangerous ideas. As confusing as this all is, one final danger is making it even harder for voters to navigate. Takeaway 10. Lies and confusion are breaking trust. In the final part of the podcast, Sarah played clips of Democrats who doubted election results because of things they half remembered from TikTok or comedy shows. Some said machines might have been hacked. Others spoke of voter fraud cases that did not exist. Heather said this is the new front line of the fight. Once people cannot tell fact from fiction, the door is open to believe anything, even to cheer on leaders who hurt them. But she also said the hunger for real, solid information is growing. More people are subscribing to serious newsletters and podcasts because they want reality, not noise. That is one hopeful sign in a very messy information war. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support this channel, hit the thanks button below. It really helps us keep going. If you enjoyed this summary, please leave a like and share it in your WhatsApp groups. To join discussion about this video, drop a comment below. And for more videos like this, hit the subscribe button below.